Humans, people, animals, plants, up to the sky, the earth, the vast universe that is filled with countless planets and countless galaxies, and something as small as ants and every single cell in existence are signs of the existence of a Creator, which is Allah, the Creator and Sustainer of all things. As Allah said in the Quran, which means He is the originator of the heavens and the earth. When He decrees a matter, He simply tells it, be, and it is. Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 117. Allah also said in the Quran, which means He is the originator of the heavens and else. How could He have children when He has no mate? He created all things and has perfect knowledge of everything. That is Allah, your Lord. There is no God worthy of worship except Him. He is the creator of all things, so worship Him alone, and He is the maintainer of everything. Surah Al-An'am, verse 101 and 102. In this vast world, with myriads of other existings, humans are the one granted with intellect, with akal, with our own will and desire. Therefore, we are being tested in an exam called life. Allah said in the Quran, every soul will taste death, and we test you, O humanity, with good and evil as a trial. Then to us you will all be returned. Surah Al-Anbiya, verse 35. Allah also said in the Quran, which means He is the one who created death and life in order to test which of you is best in deeds, and He is the Almighty, all-forgiving. Surah Al-Mulk, verse 2. For the non-Muslims, when they are facing with the challenges and contemporary crises like depression, mental health, global warming, environmental pollution, and so on, they get lost and clueless because they don't believe in the existence of God and Islam that can serve as guidance. They become swallowed up by existential and identity crises, questioning their existence and their purpose in this world. Even if they found answers in other religions or ideologies like secularism, humanism, hedonism, and so on, then those answers are merely false, incorrect, and superficial answers that only leads to doom. But then, what about the Muslims? Islam is a thorough, complete, comprehensive, and holistic religion. Muslims know through the Quran that they are not created for nothing. Allah said in the Quran, which means we have not created the heavens and earth and everything in between without purpose, as the disbelievers think. So woe to the disbelievers because of the fire. Surah Sad, verse 27. And they know the purpose of their existence. Hence, Muslims should not engulf ourselves in such questions because we constantly remind ourselves of our purpose in life, which is ibadah, through the daily prayers. Submit and surrender ourselves solely to adhere to Allah's command, such as ibadah, and hindering from committing what is forbidden by Allah, thus fulfilling the purpose of our creation, as Allah says in the Quran, which means, I did not create jinn and humans except to worship me. Surah Az-Zariyat, verse 56. Plus, Allah said in the Quran, this worldly life is no more than play and amusement, but the hereafter is indeed the real life, if only they knew. Surah Al-Ankabut, verse 64. In another verse, which means, those who believe and whose hearts find comfort in the remembrance of Allah, surely in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find comfort. Surah Ar-Ra'd, verse 28. Thus, Muslims are the ones that can truly attain happiness in life and persevere in facing crises and challenges in this worldly life, because we do not consider the world as a place to stay, but considers it as a temporary stop, and we have the Holy Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, as our guide and role model in life, protecting Muslims from depression, hopelessness, and existential crisis. Therefore, understanding these Quranic verses is significant in facing these contemporary crises.
We have been shown so many creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is animals, plants, planets, and even the universe itself. that amaze us in so many ways. The complexity, beauty, yet full of means serve as evidence for the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, creator of all creations. However, among the many creatures He created, man is one of His best creations. Unlike other creations, which were brought into existence through various means, human beings have a distinct creation process. Allah created Adam, the first human, from clay and then breathed His spirit into him, giving him a soul or a ruh. That include three matters, that is, al-nafs, which dominates human by lust, al-aqal, that can be used to rational thinking and overcome lust, and al-qalb, which relates to the point of faith. The divine infusion of the soul distinguishes human from other creation as it bestows upon them intellect, free will, and moral responsibility. Humans are endowed with intellectual capabilities, enabling them to think, reason, and reflect. In fact, this intellectual capacity allows humans to acquire knowledge, pursue understanding, and make informed decisions. It distinguishes them from the other creations which operate based on instinctual behavior and lack the same level of cognitive ability. As we can observe from other creation behaviors, they live the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created them, and by default they are submitting their will to the Creator, unlike human beings who possess the capacity of free will, enabling them to make choice and decisions. The freedom of choice sets humans apart from other creation. Humans can choose to be better than the angels who obey Allah, as humans have their own desire, unlike the angels that by default has no desire and only purpose is submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or become even worse than the animals, which only live to survive on this world. Islam also teaches the humans have been appointed as caretakers and stewards of the earth, or Khulafa al-Ard. They have been entrusted with the responsibility to utilize the resources of the world in a responsible and ethical manner while ensuring the well-being of all creation. No other creation have developed buildings that can reach the sky or create a transport that can travel around the globe in a short time period other than humans, indicating that every resources and the content of the earth is their responsibility. In other words, the destruction that occurred on this world was none other than human beings' fault. Thus, this divine responsibility highlights the unique role that human plays in the larger scheme of creation, as they are tasked with preserving and protecting the environment and promoting justice. Last but not least, humans are capable of growing and improving their moral character. Islam places a strong emphasis on this, the virtue of integrity, goodness, justice, and compassion. While some behaviors may be inherent in other species, such as motherly love that we can observe from animals, but moral characteristics can be developed and strengthened in humans through purposeful action and decision, in which one can be devoted person for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, while the other one can be the worst human there is on the earth. Humans can develop a strong spiritual bond with their Creator by their act of worship, dedication, and good deeds, as stated in the Quran, especially about the 5 main acts of worship in Islam, which is the declaration of faith, Shahada, the 5 daily prayers, Salah, Zakah, fasting during Ramadan month, and the last one being perform Hajj for those who have capacity for it. Humans are unique among all other creatures because this spiritual component enables them to move beyond the physical realm and pursue enlightenment.
Being a Muslim is the greatest blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should try to become a better Muslim with the passage of time. We should also know that being a better version of ourselves will help us to be more successful in this life and hereafter too. Islam is the religion that covers more than just a faith in one Lord. Islam is a way of life. It is a pathway which has been laid by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala around the ages of human history. In order to be a true Muslim, a person has to put Islam to practice and follow the instructions religiously. Islam teaches that the purpose of life to worship the Creator. Therefore, by converting to Islam and concentrating all one's effort on pleasing Allah and following His guidance, believers are able to fortify the relationship that was forged in the act of conversion. The inner peace and tranquility that was acquired on the fateful day becomes a lasting happiness that cannot be maintained by following one's more base desires or accumulating material possessions. True contentment is now found only by worshipping and obeying the Creator. As in the Quranic verse said, "Verily, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest." Quranic verse 13:28. Islam encourages a believer to understand the events in his or her life in the context of the overall purpose of life. The dunya was designed by our Creator to maximize our chances of living a blissful life in the akhirah. Allah advises us to bear our trials and tribulations patiently. This may at first be difficult, but as one grows in understanding, he or she can truly reconcile with the fact that everything that happens in this world happens by the permission of Allah, and whatever He does has wisdom and a reason behind it. No marriage ends and no business fails without the permission of Allah. Patience and gratitude for all our affairs is the formula of balanced life. Prophet Muhammad SAW said, "How wonderful is the affair of the believer, for his affairs are all good. If something good happens to him, he is thankful for it, and that is good for him. If something bad happens to him, he bears it with patience, and that is also good for him." Islam is a holistic way of life. Islam is a lifestyle, not a religion. Practiced only on not a religion practiced only on weekends or even festive seasons. Life is organized and is in a spiritual and moral way, taking into account humankind's initiate needs and desires. The tenets of Islam are der- derived from the Quran and the authentic traditions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and these two sources are a guide or a manual of life. Islam teaches us to be concerned about the whole person. It teaches us to take into account our physical, emotional, and spiritual needs, and providing us with the best guidance in all matters. By following the guidance and commendations of Allah, we are able to cope with trials and tribulations, and illness and injury with patience and even gratitude.
What does Islam say about social responsibility? We know that Islam is fundamentally a communal religion. All of the various acts of worship involve other members of society. And the Prophet, for example, may God's peace and blessing be upon him, had stressed the importance of interacting with other human beings when he said that the believer who mix with the people and is patient with the harm which comes from the people from mixing in society is better than the Muslim who isolates himself, doesn't mix with people, he just worships by himself, doesn't interact, doesn't suffer any harm from the society. The one who mix is better, the Prophet ﷺ has stressed the point. So, this is very important for us to understand that Islam, whether it is the declaration of faith, is not a personal thing alone. Yes, it starts from the personal intention and decision, but that has to be shared with the community. That's why in declaration of faith is supposed to be allowed and said in front of other members of community to identify yourself. We are a part of a community. It's not acceptable for you just to decide, I'm a Muslim yourself, and don't let anybody know and you just carry on. No. The very declaration of faith is required to be a communal affair. And the second pillar of Islam, Salah, the 5 times daily prayers. This is preferably done in the mosque with the rest of the community. Again, so you are interacting with the communal members of your immediate community where you are. So you are aware of the members of the community, you see them on a daily basis. This helps to build a sense of communal responsibility. When we look at communal responsibilities, we can start from the neighborhood. The Prophet ﷺ has stressed that one who believes in Allah, God, and the last day is supposed to be good to his neighbors or her neighbors. This one of the criterion to prove that one truly believes in Allah and the last day. And as such, everything which has to do with your immediate neighborhood, whether it is joining together to clean it up or joining together to patrol it, if there is harm from thieves, etc., so have a neighborhood watch this kind of program, etc., to protect members of the community. This is the basic part and partial of Islam.
Allah took different parts of the earth and He molded it into clay, and from there was water added to that until that clay turned dark and black, and then that clay Allah fashioned it into the form of the human being. And now when the clay is becoming dry, it's taking a different color, and the color that it takes eventually is the color of wheat. And that's why Adam a.s. got his name from, because Adam is from Udum, which is wheat, and his color was the color of wheat, right? Light brown kind of color. So he took from the white rocks, he took from the black rocks, he took from the brown soil, he took from the red, he took all these different colors, all right, from the yellow sort of sandy type of ground material that you get. Allah took all of that. This is all these different parts that Allah took. Why? There's a reason. Allah created a creation called the Ruh, which is the spirit. He created a creation from which, if He blows, or if from that Ruh something transfers into the clay, that molded clay that is dead, that has got not just a shape and a form, if that goes in there, then it allows that person to become alive and to move. So suddenly Adam a.s. found himself alive. Now you can imagine what's happening to Iblis. Is getting even more, the jealousy and all that is really kicking in, right? And so he's there, standing, watching, observing, and thinking, okay, what's going to come next? Now what happens next is, Allama Adam al-asma'a kullaha. Allah then taught Adam a.s. the names, or all the names. Now what does it mean by all the names? Here again Mufassirun have debated. Then there's lengthy pages of what are these names that was taught them, whether they're names of Allah, or are they the names of the angels. That's one quotation. Are these names of certain things that the angel never knew of, or are they things that the angels also knew of, because Allah then challenged the angels to try and say the names of these things? What were these things? So according to the Mufassirin, a dominant thing seems to be that there were things on the earth to do with becoming a vicegerent, to becoming a khalifa, to now reigning the earth in a way that has never been done before. Because the angels had seen the jinns and how they lived on the earth. So they didn't, what did the jinns do? The jinns couldn't build buildings. The jinns didn't know what buildings were and how to make monuments and so on. The jinns did not know, and they did not need material things to live. The jinns, they didn't need material things to live. So taking a seed, putting a seed into the ground, and then the seed sort of growing and then cultivating it, and then the tree grows, and then taking that tree, cutting it up, making planks of wood, then from that plank of wood to make something with 4 legs, that's a table, to make something else that's 4 legs and that's a chair, and to sit on it at a table, that is something jinns never knew. That's something that jinns never knew. Things that a human being will be able to do. As a human being, inside your mind, you've got this brilliant ability to innovate. And this thing of innovation was not in the jinns. And this is what really made Iblis jealous. You know, you can imagine the feelings that are going in Iblis. So Allah first said to the angels, He said, "Oh angels," He said, "tell me what these things are." And the angels didn't know. If the angels looked at a table, they wouldn't know what that table is. They wouldn't know what chair is. They wouldn't know, a house, and inside the house, they wouldn't know that. The angels wouldn't know, to make a building to govern people or whatever. They wouldn't know any of this. They wouldn't know the difference. Allah said, "Okay, go and tell me." La ilma lana. We don't have the knowledge, except for the knowledge that you have endowed us and you've given us. Then Allah tells Adam alayhi salam, says, "Oh Adam, now ambihum bi asma." Tell me what are these concepts, these names here. So Adam alayhi salam said, that's the table, or that's the chair. I'm not saying he said table, I'm not saying he said chair. Whatever those things was, he said that's that, that's this, that's that, that's this. And they were absolutely amazed. Now even Iblis was like, I don't even know what this is. And this thing Allah's created, he knows all of this.